All right, let's dive straight into Mark chapter 13.
A really significant chapter.
Definitely. So set the scene for us. Jesus is leaving the temple.
Yeah, the Jerusalem temple.
Yeah.
Huge, impressive. And a disciple clearly just, well, blown away by it all.
Points it out, look, these massive stones, these incredible buildings,
And that sense of awe. But Jesus' reaction is unexpected, to say the least.
Totally. He looks at it all and basically says, you see these great buildings, not one stone is going to be left on another. Every single one will be thrown down.
Talk about a mood changer. That must have been shocking to hear.
Absolutely. And it sets up the whole chapter, doesn't it?
It does, because later they're on the Mount of Olives.
Right. With that view looking back at the temple.
Exactly. And four of them, Peter, James, John, Andrew, they pull him aside privately.
They need answers, understandably.
They ask him two very direct questions. First, tell us, when will these things happen?
Meaning the destruction of the temple he just mentioned.
Right. And second, and what will be the sign that they are all about to be fulfilled?
So timing and signs, those are the core questions driving this whole discourse.
Precisely. And Jesus' answer unfolds throughout the rest of Mark 13. It's not just a simple date.
No, it's much more complex. He starts with warnings, doesn't he? And these preliminary signs.
Yeah, he talks about what he calls the beginning of birth pains.
That's such a striking phrase. Painful, yes, but implying something new is coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It signifies a process, not the immediate end. And the very first thing he warns about,
Deception.
watch out that no one deceives you, straight away.
And he gets specific, right, about people claiming to be him.
Yes. Many will come in my name, claiming, I am he, and will deceive many. So discernment is crucial from the start.
Okay, so watch out for false messiahs. What about bigger world events?
He moves on to that next. He says, when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed.
Don't panic yet.
Right. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Then he elaborates, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Widespread conflict.
And not just human conflict, he mentions natural disasters too.
He does. There will be earthquakes in various places and famines.
So wars, political upheaval, earthquakes, famines.
These things together, he says, these are the beginning of birth pains. Difficult, yes, but preliminary.
Got it. So those are the sort of external signs, but then he pivots to what his followers will face personally.
Yes, and it gets pretty intense. He tells them to be ready for persecution.
Like being arrested.
Exactly.
Okay.
Being handed over to the local councils and flogged in the synagogues. Real physical danger.
And even facing rulers.
Yes, standing before governors and kings. But interestingly, he frames this as their chance, as witnesses to them.
So even in persecution, there's a purpose, a mission.
That's key. The mission doesn't stop because of hardship. In fact, he says, the gospel must first be preached to all nations.
Before the end comes.
Right. And he offers this incredible promise for when they face trial. Basically, don't stress about preparing a speech. Do not worry beforehand about what to say. Just say whatever is given you at the time.
Wow.
For it is not you speaking, but the Holy Spirit. Divine help in the moment of crisis.
Which they would certainly need, given what he says next about betrayal. That sounds horrific.
It really is. He describes deep, personal betrayal. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child.
Even children against parents.
Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. It cuts right to the core of human relationships.
Showing the cost of following him.
Definitely. He sums it up starkly. All men will hate you because of me.
Oof. But there's a promise attached to enduring this, isn't there?
Yes, a crucial counterpoint. He who stands firm to the end will be saved. Endurance is the path through these birth pains.
Okay, so that covers that first phase. Global signs, personal suffering, betrayal, but also the mission and the call to endure. What comes next? It feels like things ramp up.
They do. The next section deals with what's often called the Great Distress or Great Tribulation. And it's marked by a really specific, quite cryptic sign.
Which is?
When you see the abomination that causes desolation standing where it does not belong.
And that little note in the text itself, let the reader understand.
Right. It jumps out at you. It signals something significant and perhaps needing interpretation.
And historically, what has that abomination been seen as? It sounds ominous.
Well, it comes from Daniel in the Old Testament, often linked to desecration, particularly of the temple. Interpretations vary. Some see a fulfillment in the Roman actions in 70 AD.
Like planting their standards in the temple area.
Things like that, yes. Others see it as a future event, maybe an antichrist figure or a major act of sacrilege yet to come. The core idea is a profound violation connected to desolation.
Okay. And when the sign appears, the instruction is immediate action.
Extremely urgent. Especially for those in Judea, the command is flee to the mountains instantly.
And he stresses the speed, doesn't he? Like, don't even go back inside your house for things.
Exactly. Let no one on the roof go down or enter the house to take anything out.
Or if you're working outside.
Let no one in the field go back to get his cloak. Just go. Now.
That paints a picture of pure panic and urgency.
It does. And he acknowledges how hard this would be for some people.
Yeah, he mentions pregnant women and nursing mothers. Fleeing like that would be incredibly difficult.
And he adds, pray that this will not take place in winter, because bad weather would make escape even harder.
The description of this period, it's unparalleled, isn't it?
He uses absolute language. Those will be days of distress unequaled from the beginning, until now, and never to be equaled again, unique in its severity.
Unimaginable suffering. But he also says God intervenes regarding the length of this time.
Yes, that's a critical point. If the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would survive.
So it's deliberately shortened.
But for the sake of the elect, whom he has chosen, he has shortened them. It's limited, specifically for the sake of his followers.
And during this specific time, this great distress, that warning about deception pops up again.
It does, and perhaps even more strongly. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or look, there he is, do not believe it.
Why the specific warning then?
Because false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform signs and miracles.
Actual signs and miracles.
Apparently, powerful enough to deceive the elect, if that were possible. The deception will be incredibly convincing, targeting even believers.
So after laying all that out, the birth pains, the great distress, the heightened deception, he circles back to that core message of readiness.
Exactly. He says, so be on your guard. I have told you everything ahead of time. You've been warned, so be prepared.
Which leads us directly into the climax, the main event they asked about. After the distress, the signs become cosmic.
Yeah, the focus shifts dramatically. The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. It's universal upheaval.
And then,
At that time, men will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. This is it, the visible, powerful return.
that imagery coming in clouds, that's important, right? Links back to Old Testament prophecy.
Very much so. Echoes Daniel 7, where the Son of Man figure approaches God and receives authority. It signifies his divine authority and glory.
And what's the first thing that happens upon his arrival?
It's about gathering his people. And he will send his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens. A worldwide collection.
So to help them recognize when all this is getting close, he gives them an analogy.
Yes, a simple one from nature. The fig tree.
How does that work?
He says basically when you see the fig tree putting out leaves, you know summer's right around the corner. It's an obvious sign.
So apply that.
Even so, when you see these things happening, meaning the signs he's just described, you know that it is near, right at the door. The signs mean the end is imminent.
Now, here comes a really debated phrase. I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Why is this generation so tricky?
Well, because it seems to put a time limit on things, but what kind of time limit? Does this generation mean the people listening to Jesus then?
Implying it all happened by 70 AD with the temple destruction?
That's one view, yeah. Or does it mean the generation that sees the signs begin? So once the signs start, it all wraps up within one generation.
Or maybe it's more symbolic.
Some take it that way, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe referring to the Jewish people or, the nature of humanity that resists God. There's just no scholarly consensus. It makes a big difference in how you map out the timeline.
Definitely. But regardless of that timing, he makes a bold claim about his own words.
A very powerful statement. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Amidst cosmic collapse, his teaching endures.
Okay, so he's given signs, talked about nearness, but then he says something absolutely definitive about the exact timing.
And this is crucial. He states, flat out, no one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father.
Not even Jesus himself in his earthly ministry.
That's what the text says. The precise timing is known only by the Father. full stop.
So all these signs point to nearness, but the actual moment is unknowable.
Correct. And that very uncertainty fuels the final command that repeats throughout the end of the chapter.
Which is?
Be on guard, be alert, and he connects it directly.
Mm.
You do not know when that time will come. Because you don't know the hour, you must always be ready.
He uses one last story, a parable, to drive this home, right? The absent master.
Yeah, it's like a homeowner going on a trip. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each with his assigned task,
Everyone has a job to do.
and tells the one at the door to keep watch. Vigilance is the key responsibility, especially for the one guarding the entrance.
And the master could come back anytime.
That's the point. He lists possibilities. Whether in the evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or at dawn, it could be any watch of the night. Unpredictable.
And the danger is being caught unprepared.
Yes. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping. Sleepy means spiritual unpreparedness, negligence.
And this final command, this whole discourse that started with those 4 disciples privately asking questions, he makes it universal at the very end.
He does. His final word on the subject is, what I say to you, I say to everyone, watch. It's command for all followers, in all times.
So, recapping this intense chapter, we went from the temple's predicted fall through those initial birth pains, war, famine, persecution, betrayal, then into that unequaled great distress signaled by the abomination, followed by huge cosmic signs, and finally the visible glorious return of the Son of Man gathering his elect.
And all along the way, those repeated warnings. Watch out for deception, stand firm through suffering, recognize the signs of nearness. But remember that the exact day and hour remain unknown.
Which brings everything back to that final, insistent command. Watch. It's fascinating how these grand apocalyptic predictions ultimately lead to a very personal instruction about present awareness and readiness.
That tension is right there throughout the chapter. Global events, cosmic signs, yet the focus returns again and again to individual vigilance.
So here's something for you, the listener, to really think about. Given these stark warnings about being misled, the suffering involved, the certainty of the return, but the uncertainty of the timing, how does that command to watch actually translate into your life today? What does active, alert watching look like in the here and now, living in this time between the warnings and the ultimate fulfillment?